Let's take a look at the Bernie Sanders of his time, Huey Long. Because I think if we watch this, we'll see that Bolshevik Bernie Sanders ideas are really not that revolutionary.
According to the tables which we have assembled, it is our estimate that 4% of the American people own 85% of the wealth of America.
See, now today, people like Bernie Sanders, they make a big fuss about the top 1%. Woo! But is it really the top 1%? As I've always said, 1%, 3 million people in America, because it's a country of 300 million people. They talk about the 1% as if it's a small group of people who are like in a smoke-filled room with top hats and cigars and monocles, and they're just discussing ways to exploit labor and run roughshod over the economy. 1%, as I've always said, is an arbitrary grouping, and we can see it right here because before the top 1% was the group we had to worry about, it was the top 4% in the eyes of Huey Long.
And that over 70% of the people of America don't own enough to pay the debts that they owe. How many men have...
Yeah, so student loan debt of their time.
Went to a barbecue.
70%, I mean, he's talking about debts in general, right? So wouldn't like a lot of that debt be in stuff like mortgages, maybe car loans?
Would let one man take...
You know, debt is not always a terrible thing. Sometimes you need stuff that you can't afford, and it's reasonable to borrow money.
Off the table what's intended for 9/10 of the people to eat. The only way you'll ever be able to feed the balance of the people is to make that man come back and bring back some of that grub he ain't got no business with. Now, how are you going to feed the balance of the people? What's Morgan and Baruch and Rockefeller and Mellon going to do with all that grub?
Talk about Rockefeller and Mellon and someone else. You know, they were the Koch brothers and the Waltons and the Jeff Bezoses of their day. Just demonizing whoever's rich and successful and saying the reason why people can't afford to make ends meet is because these darn rich people, they're hoarding all the wealth.
They can't eat it. They can't wear the clothes. They can't live in the house. Give them a yacht.
Oh, yachts, huh? You guys think that like yachts? I think Bernie Sanders. Let's see here. Where is it? Bernie Sanders. Unfettered capitalism is Jeff Bezos buying a $400 million, 460-foot super yacht. These goons, they just hate yachts. They hate big boats. We need more rap videos. Remember that song Big Pimpin' by Jay-Z back in the 90s and he filmed it on a $1 million yacht? What's wrong with that?
Give them a palace. Send them to Reno and give them a new wife when they want it. If that's what they want. But when they've got everything on the God's living earth that they can eat and they can wear and they can live in, and all that their children can live in and wear and eat and all their children's children can use, then we got to call Mr. Morgan and Mr. Mellon and Mr. Rockefeller back.
Mr. Morgan, Mr. Mellon, Mr. Rockefeller.
They come back here. Put that stuff back on this table here that you took away from here that you don't need.
Of course, I don't know much about Mellon. I think Andrew Mellon's his name. I don't know much about him, but Rockefeller and Morgan, I think they're some of the greatest heroes in American history.
Leave something else for the American people to consume, and that's the problem.
I mean, Rockefeller really helped revolutionize and consolidate the oil industry, made oil cheaper and better, which before the discovery of kerosene, it was a rather useless resource. And it wasn't Rockefeller who discovered the use for kerosene, but he made the industry very efficient, made it cheaper than ever. And how did they repay him? They called him a big, scary monopoly. Ooh. And then, of course, when the automobile industry took off, it was, the oil industry that met the demand for gasoline. Same with J.P. Morgan. He had a huge role in getting electricity off the ground. Was one of the few financiers, I believe, that believed in Thomas Edison when he was demonstrating his light bulbs.
We're not going to
how dare he make money and get rich off of investing in new technologies?
destroy the Gulf Refining Company. We're not going to destroy the Standard Oil Company. But we're going to save...
And this is 1934. This was 2 decades after Standard Oil had been broken up. And that wasn't enough. It's never enough. So you guys think anyone who is, on this crusade, whether it's people on the left like Bolshevik Bernie Sanders or people on the right like Josh Missouri Mussolini Hawley, if they break up Amazon, they're probably still going to find reasons to demonize and hate Jeff Bezos.
That the limit of any one man's stock owner...
I mean, shit, that happened to Bill Gates. Bill Gates gave away free internet browsing software in the 90s, and they tried to break up Microsoft. And people still find new reasons to hate him. Although I will say Bill Gates, going on TV advocating for further lockdowns, he can piss off for that.
Standard Oil Company is from $3 to $5 million to that individual, and that the balance of the people of America own the balance.
Oh, so what did he say?
That the limit of any one man's stock ownership in the Standard Oil Company is from $3 to $5 million to that individual, and that the balance of the people of America own the balance of what the Standard Oil Company is worth. All right. Then we start from the bottom, that the 25 or more million American families shall have a homestead, a home, and the comforts of a home, including an automobile and a radio.
Stuff that would not exist without men of the mind inventing it, and inventing it to make money. That's how we get new stuff, because of the profit motive. And then, after enough people get used to such luxuries like automobiles and radios, which for you youngins at home, the radio, even in the 1930s, it only existed for about 20 years. I guess you could say the radio was probably the iPhone for its time, as far as using it for media and entertainment. Something that had only existed for 20 years. And then suddenly, according to goons like Huey Long, everyone has an inalienable right to that product. I mean, shit, that's how people describe YouTube nowadays. YouTube has existed for 15, 16 years, and now suddenly everyone has a right to an account.
Takes in that house to live on. We say to America, 125 million, none shall be too big, none shall be too poor, none shall work too much, none shall be...
What if people want to work a lot?
God.
Like Charles Koch, he's in his 80s, and I think he still works like 12 hours a day or something.
No luxurious mansions empty, none walking the streets, none impoverished.
Does that apply to Bernie Sanders today because he owns 3 houses? I mean, 2 of them are probably empty at some point.
None in pestilence, none in want, but in the land blessed by the smile of the Creator, with everything to be.
And by the way, this guy, before he got assassinated, for those who don't know. And I remember this was 1934. He was considered a challenge to FDR at points during FDR's presidency. This guy was too crazy for FDR.
Be consumed, to be eaten, to be worn. That America will become a land sharing the fruits of the land, not for the favored few, not to satisfy greed, but that all may live in a land in which the Lord has provided an abundance sufficient for the luxury and convenience of the people in general, I think.
Anyway, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter, not a lot, but a few people say that Huey Long was based. Wrong. Huey Long was cringe.
You're goddamn right.
They talk about the 1% as if it's a small group of people who are like in a smoke-filled room with top hats and cigars and monocles, and they're just discussing ways to exploit labor and run roughshod over the economy. You gotta be kidding me. There we go. I clicked my soundboard, and then I clicked the part where I changed the name of the soundboard. That's a flaw. Anyway.